Whoa, whoa, back up. How did you get on this plane?
Ma'am, I have a seat assignment.
I don't care what you think you have. This cabin is not for you.
I'm a passenger.
A passenger? In a filthy hoodie? Did you crawl in with the baggage?
My name is on the manifest.
Honey, the only list you belong on is the cleaning rotation. Put that glass down. Now!
Please just call the captain.
Don't you dare speak to me like I'm your...
Colleen's palm cracks across Harper's cheek. 4 red fingers bloom on dark skin. Harper doesn't cry, doesn't move, just whispers.
You just ended your life.
32 minutes. Cockpit door. 4 words from the pilot. Drains every drop of blood from Colleen's face. Guess which 4? Rewind 4 hours. Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, gate B23. Harper Jennings is the last passenger to board a Delta flight back to Newark. Middle seat, row 29. She carries a canvas tote with a worn leather headset inside. The headset belonged to her father, Julian Jennings. He wore it the night he taught her to recognize a failing engine by the way the vibration changed in her teeth. Her father died last Tuesday. Heart attack in a maintenance hangar. 54 years old, wrench still in his hand. The memorial ended at noon. She wore a plain black dress, no pearls, no speech. She shook 200 hands. Her mother kissed her forehead and whispered, "Your daddy would have told you to fly tonight. Sky's where we heal." So she is flying. She squeezes into the middle seat. A businessman takes one look at the hoodie and sighs like he's been personally inconvenienced. Harper smiles faintly. She has been that sigh 1,000 times. Her phone buzzes as the aircraft pushes back. A text from her assistant, Ellie Brooks. "Ma'am, board retreat got moved up. Aspen, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. N812MS is prepped and waiting at Teterboro. Fair warning, the crew is from the Crestline acquisition. They haven't been briefed on ownership yet. You said quiet integration. Still want to go tonight?" Harper types back with one thumb. "Yes, I need sky time." Ellie replies instantly. "Headset?" "Always." 2.5 hours later, Harper lands in Newark. She catches a black car across the river. No entourage, no security. Just her and a driver who doesn't recognize her face because nobody does. Harper Jennings has never been on a magazine cover. She declined Forbes 3 times. The car pulls onto the tarmac at Teterboro. The wind is 22 knots, scented with jet fuel and cold rain. A de-icing truck hisses pink glycol over the wings of a Citation 3 slots down. Harper zips her hoodie tighter and walks toward her own aircraft, alone. Her aircraft. She owns 42 of them. She signs the paychecks of 460 employees. Meridian Skyline Aviation. Founded 15 years ago with one Beechcraft Baron, a stack of maintenance manuals, and a father who told her every Sunday, "Baby, if they don't give you a seat at the table, buy the whole damn restaurant." Tonight, she bought the table. Tonight, she is walking toward a $48 million Gulfstream G650ER she owns outright, tail number N812MS. And the woman at the top of the air stairs does not know it. Colleen Whitfield watches Harper approach through the galley window. Her jaw tightens. Bryn, who the hell is that? Bryn Caldwell, 26, 2 years on the job, checks the tablet. Manifest says Jennings, 1 passenger, principal. That is not a principal. That is somebody's rideshare driver who got lost. It says principal, ma'am. Then marketing screwed up again. Don't let her touch anything. Colleen pastes on a smile you could slice bread with. She positions herself at the cabin door like a bouncer. When Harper reaches the top of the stairs, Colleen extends one hand, not to help her up, but to stop her. "Ma'am, invitation?" "On my phone." Harper shows the boarding code. Colleen takes the phone, scrolls, frowns, holds it at an angle like she's trying to catch a lie in the glare. Jennings says, "What is a sponsor name? Somebody paid for you to be here?" "It's my name." Colleen hands the phone back between two fingers, the way you'd return a dirty tissue. She steps aside just enough to let Harper squeeze past. Then she falls in behind her, like a prison guard. Harper walks down the aisle. Cream leather, burled walnut trim, the soft blue wash of cabin mood lighting. 12 seats, only 4 occupied tonight. 2 attorneys in row 3 headed for a ski weekend. A tech executive in row 4 tapping on a laptop. Harper takes seat 1A, the owner's seat, the one with the fold-out desk and the private side window. Colleen's smile goes glacial. She has decided, in the way certain people always decide, what she is looking at. She is wrong. And in 32 minutes, the cost of being wrong is going to land on her like a building. For now, the engines spool up. The cabin pressurizes. The aisle goes quiet. And Colleen Whitfield begins to boil. The aircraft levels off at 36,000 feet. Somewhere over western Pennsylvania, the seatbelt sign chimes off. The cabin exhales. The tech executive stretches. The 2 attorneys crack open a bottle of Pinot Noir and murmur about lift tickets. Harper slides her father's old leather headset out of the tote and sets it gently on the tray table. She produces a small cloth and begins to clean the earpieces. It's a ritual, something she does before every flight. A small, private hello to a man who is not coming back. Colleen Whitfield has been watching her for 12 straight minutes. She approaches from the galley, holding a tablet against her chest like a clipboard. Her smile is the kind that has been rehearsed in front of bathroom mirrors for 2 decades. "Ma'am, I'm going to need to see a government-issued ID, full ID, not the boarding pass." Harper looks up, calm, patient. "I already scanned it at the FBO. Department of Transportation rule, random secondary check. That rule does not exist. There is no random secondary ID check on private aircraft in United States airspace. Colleen knows this. She is performing authority she does not possess for an audience of 1. And the audience is herself. Harper, still patient, produces her New Jersey driver's license. Colleen takes it, holds it up to the overhead reading lamp, tilts it, squints, photographs it with her personal phone. The older attorney in row 3 looks up from his wine. Harper asks quietly, "Why are you photographing my license?" "Standard procedure." "For whom?" "For me." Colleen hands the license back, between 2 fingers. She doesn't leave. She stands in the aisle, eyes sweeping over Harper like a TSA scanner, and then she settles on the one thing she has decided will be her weapon tonight. "Ma'am, that seat." "Yes?" "Seat 1A, that's reserved for the charter principal." "I am the principal." Colleen laughs. It is not a real laugh. It is a short, nasal bark designed to humiliate. "Oh, sweetie, no. The principal is a guest of the chairman of the board. I have flown this principal before. I'm going to need you to move to row 3. "I'd like to speak with the captain." "The captain is flying the aircraft. You will speak with me." Harper does not move. She has spent 15 years being told to move. She has moved out of classrooms where professors assumed she was the janitor's daughter. She has moved out of hangar offices where new hires asked her to fetch coffee. She has moved to the back of conference rooms where men in cufflinks introduced her as our diversity consultant. Tonight, in her own aircraft, on her father's Memorial Day, wearing her father's headset, she is finished moving. She speaks gently. "Ma'am, I'd like to stay in this seat. Please have the captain come back when he is able." Colleen's face goes pink. She leans one hand on the armrest of 1A, close enough now that Harper can smell her perfume. Something expensive. Something that costs too much to be worn this loud. "Listen to me carefully, honey. I don't know how you got your name on that manifest. Maybe somebody at the top owed somebody a favor. Maybe you won a raffle. But I have flown this route for 22 years. I know what a principal looks like, and it does not look like you. The tech executive in row 4 stops typing. Her laptop closes by 1 inch. Her hand drifts toward her phone. "Ma'am," Harper says again, "please get the captain." "Oh, you don't dictate to me on my aircraft. It's not your aircraft." That stops Colleen for exactly half a second. Then she laughs again, louder this time, broadcasting it down the cabin. "Did you hear that? She thinks it's her aircraft. Oh, honey, that is adorable." The older attorney says, under his breath, "Jesus Christ." Colleen hears it, whirls. "Sir, I am handling a disruptive passenger. I would appreciate your cooperation." "She's reading a cleaning cloth, ma'am. She is resisting crew instructions. That is a federal offense." The attorney raises both hands in the universal gesture of, "I'm staying out of this," and goes back to his wine. His partner does not look up at all. The tech executive, however, has now swiveled her body 40 degrees in her seat so her phone can catch the aisle at a better angle. Colleen does not notice. She is locked on Harper, like a heat-seeking missile that has decided what a threat looks like and cannot undecide it. She snaps her fingers. "Bryn, come here." Bryn Caldwell emerges from the galley. Wide eyes, a linen towel twisted tight in both hands. "Ma'am?" "I want a secondary bag check on this passenger. She was sitting in a restricted seat and became argumentative when questioned. I am documenting this." "Colleen, she has a boarding pass. I said document it." Bryn swallows, nods, does not meet Harper's eyes. Colleen reaches for the canvas tote bag on the floor by Harper's feet. Harper's hand moves, not fast, not angry, just a quiet, firm press on the top of the bag, pinning it shut. "Ma'am, that bag contains personal property. You don't have authorization to open it." "I have full authorization under crew safety protocols." "You do not." "Excuse me? Private charter flight crews do not have the legal authority to conduct warrantless searches of passenger belongings, absent an imminent safety threat. And I am not an imminent safety threat. I am drinking water and cleaning a headset." Silence. Colleen's mouth opens. Her lips work around a word that does not come. She did not expect the black woman in the hoodie to quote the regulation back to her. In the galley mirror, Bryn Caldwell sees Colleen's expression shift, sees the flicker, sees the moment a lesser person would step back and say, "I may have misread this situation. Let me go get the captain." Sees Colleen choose the other fork in the road, the fork that has worked for her for 22 years, the fork that works on passengers whose faces she has decided she does not like. Colleen's voice drops to a whisper only the first 3 rows can hear. "I will tell you this one time, sweetheart. Open that bag, or I will radio ahead to Aspen and have you met by federal agents on the ramp. I will say you threatened a flight attendant. I will say you refused lawful instructions. I will say I feared for my life. Do you know whose word they'll take? Mine. The uniform. Not yours, not the hoodie, not the attitude. Mine. Now open the bag." Harper looks at her for a long, slow beat. Then she unzips the tote herself. "Go ahead." Colleen plunges her hand in like she's fishing for evidence. Out comes the leather headset. She holds it up by the cord, dangles it. "Is this yours? Or did you take this from one of our supply lockers?" "It belonged to my father." "Your father flew private?" "My father was a mechanic, then a pilot. He died on Tuesday." Something ugly flickers across Colleen's face. For one moment, a human pause. Then it's gone, plowed under by the momentum of her own performance. Story for the judge, maybe. She drops the headset back into the tote. Not places, drops. The metal plug clacks against the pill bottles inside. 3 prescription bottles roll out onto the aisle floor. Heart medication. The same condition that killed Julian Jennings at 54. Harper kneels and picks them up, one by one, without a word. The older attorney is now leaning forward, his wine untouched. The tech executive has her phone angled squarely at Colleen's back, red recording dot blinking. Bryn is crying silently in the galley doorway, linen towel balled against her mouth. Colleen straightens, adjusts her scarf, declares, loud enough for the whole cabin, "Disruptive passenger logged. Captain will be informed on descent. Everyone, thank you for your patience." She strides back toward the galley. She believes she has won. She has no idea that she has just handed Harper Jennings, the woman whose signature is on Colleen's paycheck, whose name is on the nose of this aircraft, whose father's heart gave out at a workbench so his daughter could own the sky, all the evidence she will ever need. Harper sits back, closes her eyes. Somewhere in the cockpit, Captain Owen Sullivan is reviewing the flight plan. He has not yet read the passenger manifest's principal field. He is about to. Colleen returns 5 minutes later. She is not alone. Bryn trails behind her with a clipboard she clearly doesn't want to be holding. Colleen's scarf has been retied. Her lipstick has been refreshed. She has been in the lavatory for 4 minutes, building up the next act. She plants herself in the aisle beside row 1. "Ma'am, I need you to stand up." Harper looks up from her book, a worn paperback copy of a flight maintenance manual her father annotated in the margins. She closes it slowly. Why? Secondary screening, full pat-down of outer garments, standard protocol when a disruptive incident has been logged. There is no such protocol on a private charter. Stand up, or I radio the ramp. Harper does not stand. Colleen reaches down and grips Harper's upper arm. Not a tap, not a guiding hand. A squeeze. The kind of squeeze a prison matron gives an inmate she wants to humiliate in front of other inmates. I said stand. Harper pulls her arm free. Calm. No sudden motion. Do not touch me again. Oh, I'll touch whoever I need to touch to keep this aircraft safe. Ma'am, you are escalating a non-incident into a physical assault. I would like you to back away from my seat. The older attorney in row 3 sets his wine glass down hard enough to slosh. Miss, that's enough. Colleen turns. Sir, stay out of this or I will add you to the incident report. Add me, please. I'll testify. Colleen's jaw works. She did not expect witnesses. She has flown this script in the back of her head for years. Black woman in a hoodie. Some excuse to put her in her place. Some captain who nods and files a report. Some airline that settles quietly. Tonight is supposed to be that flight. Tonight is not that flight. She pivots back to Harper. You want to play attorney? Fine, let's go. Pop quiz. 49 U.S. Code, Section 46504. Know what that is? Interference with a flight crew member. That's right. A federal crime. Penalty up to 20 years. It is. It's also not applicable here because I have done nothing to interfere with the safe operation of this aircraft. You are the one creating the disturbance. Oh, sweetheart, when we land, they won't ask you. They'll ask for the uniform. She leans down, close enough now that the perfume stings Harper's eyes. Close enough that Harper can see the small vein throbbing above Colleen's right eyebrow. Close enough that when she whispers the next thing, only one row can hear. I know your type. Ma'am, no, you listen. I know your type. You walk into places that were never built for you. You sit down in seats that were never meant for you. You smile your little smile, and you wait for somebody to feel sorry for you. Not tonight. Not on my bird. I've put bigger women than you off planes in handcuffs. You want to test me? Test me. The cabin is so quiet now that Harper can hear the faint hiss of the air recirculation fans. Her hands are shaking. Not from fear, from a recognition she has been carrying in her chest since she was 9 years old, the first time a teacher accused her of stealing her own lunch money. It is an old, cold shake. It has nowhere to go. She breathes in through her nose, out through her mouth, and she says, very evenly, "Please, go get the captain." Colleen smiles. He is busy. Harper stands up. 5'8", 140 pounds, black hoodie, red eyes. One hand resting on the back of seat 1A for balance. Then I will get him myself. She takes one step toward the cockpit door. Colleen grabs her arm again, hard. Hard enough that later, in the hospital photos that will be entered into federal evidence, there will be 4 finger-shaped bruises in the shape of a small woman's grip. Harper pulls free, takes another step. Colleen grabs her a third time. This time, Harper shakes her off with real force, the way you shake off a spider, and Colleen stumbles back half a pace. Her face goes red. Not embarrassed red, humiliated red. The red of a woman who has just been resisted by someone she decided was beneath resisting. And then Colleen Whitfield does the thing she cannot take back. Her right hand rises, comes down, open palm, full arc. The slap cracks across Harper's cheek like a door slamming. Bryn gasps and drops the clipboard. It clatters against the galley floor. The tech executive in row 4 says, out loud, "Oh my God." The older attorney is on his feet. The younger attorney is frozen with his wine glass halfway to his lips. The cabin has gone so silent that the only sound is the hum of the engines and the ringing in Harper's left ear. 4 perfect fingers glow scarlet on Harper's cheek. She does not stagger. She does not hit back. She does not cry. She touches her own face, slowly, with the back of her left hand, examines the hand, looks at Colleen. And this is the part the tech executive's phone catches in perfect focus, the part that will loop on cable news for a full week. Harper Jennings smiles. Not a happy smile. A small, sad, terminal smile. The smile of a woman who has just been handed the precise piece of evidence she needed. Ma'am, you just made the worst professional decision of your life. Colleen's chest is heaving. She tries to rally. She turns to the cabin like a politician working a hostile crowd. You all saw it. She came at me. She was rushing to the cockpit. I defended myself. This is a documented aggressor. I want everyone to remember what you saw. I saw you slap her, says the older attorney. Sir, I saw you grab her 3 times, and I saw her pull away, and I saw you slap her in the face. That is what I saw. That is what I will testify to. And my partner here, who is a senior litigator at Cooper Hayes Brennan, will be taking down every single word you say from this moment forward. His partner, stone-faced, has already pulled out a yellow legal pad. Colleen's mouth opens. The tech executive turns her phone to face Colleen directly. Red dot. Blinking. No pretense anymore. Keep talking. I've got all of it. Colleen takes one step back. Her heel catches on the clipboard Bryn dropped. She does not fall, but she wobbles. And in that wobble, in that single, small, uncoordinated moment, the invincible authority she has carried down this aisle for 22 years cracks visibly. Her eyes dart toward the cockpit door. Her professional smile tries to reassemble itself on her mouth and fails halfway up. She is beginning, in a part of her brain she has kept locked her entire career, to understand that something has gone wrong. She does not yet know how wrong. She turns, half a step toward the galley, half a step toward the cockpit, frozen in the aisle like a woman who has realized the building is on fire but cannot remember which door she came in through. And that is when the cockpit door unlocks from the inside. The thunk of the bolt is the loudest sound in the world. Colleen's head snaps toward it. Every passenger's head snaps toward it. Harper's does not. Harper is still standing, still bleeding a thin line from the inside of her cheek where her own tooth caught her during the slap. Still breathing, still waiting. The door swings open on its hydraulic arm. A tall man in 4 stripes steps through, silver at the temples, navy cap under one arm, tired eyes that have seen cabin disturbances before and have a certain expression reserved for them. He scans the aisle in one professional sweep. He sees the red handprint on Harper's cheek. He sees the clipboard on the floor. He sees the phone with the red dot. He sees the old leather headset peeking out of the canvas tote by seat 1A, and his face does something very small. A flicker. The flicker of a man who has just connected the headset in front of him to a corporate welcome video he half-watched on his tablet last month. A video in which a black woman in a modest blazer stood in a hangar in Newark beside a gleaming Gulf Stream and said, "I am Harper Jennings. My father gave me these wings. And now, we are going to give them to all of you." Captain Owen Sullivan closes his eyes for exactly 1 heartbeat. Then he opens them. Captain Owen Sullivan takes 1 full step into the cabin. His boots do not make a sound on the carpet. He has been flying for 38 years. He was in the Navy before he was a civilian. He knows how to enter a room. He does not look at Colleen first. He looks at Harper. "Ma'am, are you injured?" "I'm all right, Captain." "Your face is bleeding." "It's the inside of my cheek. A tooth." "Please sit down. Bryn, get this lady a cold pack and a clean napkin. Now." Bryn nearly trips over herself getting to the galley. Ice clatters into a linen wrap. She crosses the aisle, kneels beside seat 1A, and holds the cold pack out with both hands, like an offering. Harper takes it, presses it to her cheek, nods. Captain Sullivan turns his head, slowly, toward Colleen. Just his head. The rest of him stays perfectly still. "Ms. Whitfield, I want you to tell me what just happened." Colleen's voice is high and bright, the voice she uses on phone calls with corporate. "Captain, thank God. This passenger was attempting to force entry into the flight deck. I intercepted her. She resisted. She became physical. I contained the situation. We need to radio Aspen for—" "Stop. Captain, stop talking." Colleen stops. Captain Sullivan walks 3 paces down the aisle, stops beside seat 1A, looks down at the canvas tote on the floor, at the leather headset poking out of the top, at the propeller pendant on the thin gold chain around Harper's neck, at the face he now recognizes from a 15-minute corporate integration video his new operations director made every Crestline captain watch last month. He exhales once, through his nose. Then he addresses the cabin. "For the record, my name is Owen Sullivan. I am the pilot in command of this aircraft, tail number November 812 Mike Sierra. This aircraft is a Gulfstream G650ER, registered to Meridian Skyline Aviation. Meridian Skyline Aviation is the parent holding company of Crestline Jet Partners, which employs the flight crew you see in front of you, including me." He pauses. "Ms. Whitfield, look at this passenger." "Captain, look at her." Colleen looks. She looks the way you look at a stove burner you thought was cold. "Ms. Whitfield, allow me to introduce you. This is Ms. Harper Jennings, founder, Chief Executive Officer, and sole owner of Meridian Skyline Aviation." Colleen's face does not drain in one smooth motion. It drains in stages. First her forehead, then her cheeks, then the small triangle at the base of her throat, where her scarf does not quite cover her skin. Her mouth opens. Her lower lip trembles once. Her eyes dart to the galley, to the cockpit, to the attorney in row 3, to the phone in row 4, and finally back to Harper. Back to the woman she has spent 20 minutes calling sweetheart. Back to the woman she has just slapped in front of witnesses, in a cabin built and paid for by that woman's signature. Her knees soften. She catches herself on the armrest of row 2. What? Our owner, Ms. Whitfield. That's our owner. You understand me? I was told the principal was a guest of the chairman. Ms. Jennings is the chairman. I didn't know. I thought she was... Finish that sentence, Ms. Whitfield. I would love for you to finish that sentence. Colleen does not finish that sentence. There is no acceptable way to finish that sentence. And some part of her brain, the part still functioning, the part not currently drowning, knows it. The tech executive in row 4 says, softly, for the camera, Jesus Christ. The older attorney in row 3 sits back down, folds his arms, watches. Captain Sullivan speaks again. His voice has not risen once. Ms. Whitfield, you just performed an unauthorized secondary screening on a private charter. You conducted an illegal search of a passenger's personal belongings. You laid hands on a passenger 3 separate times. You struck a passenger open-palmed across the face. You made verbal threats regarding false statements to federal agents. You did all of that to the woman who owns this airplane. And 4 out of those 5 things you did before I ever came out of that cockpit. Am I missing anything? Silence. Am I missing anything? No, Captain. Good. Then here is what is going to happen. You are going to go sit in row 6. You are going to not speak. You are not going to touch a service item, a radio, or a phone. First Officer Hollister is coming back here to sit across from you until we land. When we land, you will be met by Aspen Police, a representative of the Federal Aviation Administration, and Ms. Jennings's personal legal counsel, who has already been informed by the Meridian Operations Center. Do you understand these instructions? Colleen's whole body is shaking now. Captain, please. I have a daughter in college. This is a misunderstanding. Please. Harper speaks for the first time since Sullivan emerged. Quiet. No triumph in her voice. Only a kind of tired, surgical calm. Ma'am, my father had a daughter in college too. He still got up at 5 in the morning and fixed engines for 40 years so that daughter could own this aircraft. You didn't ask about my daughter. You didn't ask about my father. You told me my type belonged in handcuffs. Go sit in row 6. Colleen walks to row 6. She does not speak again. For the rest of the flight, the only sound in the cabin is the hum of the engines and the quiet click of the tech executive's phone, still recording, all the way to Aspen. The flight from Pennsylvania airspace to Aspen takes 58 more minutes. 58 minutes of cabin silence. 58 minutes of Colleen Whitfield sitting in row 6, staring at her own hands in her lap. First Officer Grant Hollister sits across from her, ankle crossed over knee, reading a weather briefing, saying nothing. Every few minutes, Colleen tries to speak. Hollister looks up once, shakes his head. She stops. Bryn kneels beside Harper's seat with a fresh ice pack at minute 25. Ma'am, I need to say something. Go ahead. I should have said something back there. I should have pulled her off you. I was scared of her. That is not an excuse. I'm 26 years old, and I watched her do that to you, and I did not move. I am so sorry, Ms. Jennings. Harper looks at her for a long moment. Bryn, you are going to keep your job. Ma'am, you are going to keep your job, and you are going to spend the rest of your career remembering the weight of what your silence cost tonight. That weight is going to make you a better flight attendant than Miss Whitfield was ever capable of being. You understand me? Bryn nods. Tears falling now. Quiet. No sound. Good. Go sit down. The descent into Aspen-Pitkin County begins at sunset. Pink light on the peaks of the Elk Mountains. The Gulf Stream banks gently over the valley. Through the window of seat 1A, Harper can see 3 sets of flashing blue and red strobes already positioned at the FBO ramp. 2 local police cruisers. 1 unmarked black SUV with federal plates. Another black SUV beside them, Meridian Skylines, her personal counsel, Delaney Ashford, standing beside it with a tablet in one hand and a coat collar turned up against the wind. Captain Sullivan makes a perfect wheels-down landing, the softest touch Harper has felt in years. The aircraft taxis to the FBO. The engines spool down. The seatbelt sign pings off. Captain Sullivan comes over the intercom one final time. Ladies and gentlemen, Aspen Police and a representative of the Federal Aviation Administration are boarding the aircraft now. Please remain in your seats until they address you directly. Ms. Jennings will be escorted off first. Thank you for your patience tonight. The cabin door opens. 3 people board. A tall sheriff's deputy with a serious face. A small woman in an FAA windbreaker holding a folder. And Delaney Ashford, 39, Meridian's general counsel. Black wool coat, silver earrings, calm. Delaney walks straight to Harper, kneels in the aisle beside seat 1A. Harper, are you okay? I will be. Do you need a hospital? I need a photograph of my face before the swelling goes down. Then I need a hot shower and 8 hours of sleep. Done. Preston Eastman is on his way. He'll be here in under an hour. Tell him to go home to his family tonight. Tomorrow morning, my office. Yes, ma'am. Delaney stands, nods at the deputy. The deputy walks past row 1, past row 2, past row 3, past row 4, past row 5, and stops beside row 6. Ma'am, Ms. Whitfield, I'm going to need you to stand up and place your hands behind your back. Colleen does stand, but her knees do not fully straighten. Officer, please, this is a mistake. I was doing my job. I have been a flight attendant for 22 years. There has been a terrible misunderstanding with this young lady, and I would like to apologize to her in person if she would give me the opportunity. Ma'am, hands behind your back. Officer, please. I have a daughter. I have a daughter in her 2nd year at Vanderbilt. If I am arrested tonight, this will... Ma'am, I am not asking a 3rd time. Colleen places her hands behind her back. The metal click of the cuffs in the quiet cabin is the loudest sound of the entire flight. Louder than the slap. Louder than the bolt of the cockpit door. Louder than the landing gear touching Colorado asphalt. A small, neat, final click. She has walked down the aisle, past every passenger she spent an hour performing for. The tech executive does not look up. The attorneys do not look up. Bryn does not look up. Harper Jennings does look up, meets Colleen's eyes, says nothing. Colleen has walked down the air stairs, across the tarmac, and into the back of a squad car. Inside the cabin, Harper finally lowers the ice pack, exhales, closes her eyes. The investigation opens before sunrise. FAA. Investigator Nora Whitaker arrives at the Meridian Skyline Operations Center in Newark at 6:15 the next morning. She is 52 years old, 30 years in federal aviation enforcement. She has built her career on quiet, meticulous casework. She has also been black in federal rooms her entire adult life, which means she understands exactly what happened in that cabin without needing a single document explained to her. She asks for 3 things: the passenger manifest, the cabin voice recording, and the personnel file on Colleen Whitfield, going back the full 22 years. By noon, she has all 3. By Wednesday, she has something else. A pattern. 19 separate complaints filed against Colleen Whitfield over 5 years. Every single one of them from a passenger of color. 11 marked unsubstantiated and closed at a supervisor level. 3 settled quietly with non-disclosure agreements and small payouts. The remaining 5 were buried in HR folders that nobody had pulled in over a year. When Whitaker lays the 19 complaint summaries side by side on a conference table, the pattern is so legible that her deputy actually laughs. Not because it is funny, because there is no other adult response to evidence this overwhelming sitting in plain sight for half a decade, while supervisors looked the other way. Whitaker recommends federal charges by Friday. The video leaks on Tuesday morning. Not by Harper. Harper never asked for it. The tech executive in row 4, whose name is Margaret Holloway, posts the 11-minute, 42-second clip to her own social account with a 6-word caption. "I saw this last night. Watch." By Tuesday evening, it has 19 million views. By Wednesday morning, it is the lead story on 3 networks. Margot Sinclair opens the evening news with a still frame of the red handprint on Harper's cheek and says, "The woman you are about to see was slapped in the aisle of her own private jet by a flight attendant who did not know she owned the company." Tonight, the federal investigation into her treatment is expanding beyond this single incident to a pattern going back 2 decades. Hashtags trend. Not the usual outrage cycle, something sharper. Hashtag not your cabin. Hashtag owner's seat. Hashtag Jennings rule. Flight crews across the country start sharing their own stories. A black physician posts a TikTok about being asked to help a sick passenger on a flight where she was simply a paying customer in business class. A Latina attorney posts about being told to move from the bulkhead because that's reserved for the traveling party. A Korean-American software executive posts about being handed a trash bag mid-flight. The stories stack up for a week. Harper does not give a single television interview. She releases one written statement. 4 sentences. "This is not about me. I had resources, witnesses, and a captain who opened that cockpit door. Most black women in that aisle would have been arrested in Aspen and disbelieved for a decade. That is the conversation I want us to have." The statement is shared 1.5 million times. 7 months later, Denver Federal Courthouse. Colleen Whitfield is charged on 3 counts. Simple assault under Colorado state law. Interference with a flight crew member under 49 U.S.C. section 46,504. Ironically, the very statute she had invoked against Harper. And a federal civil rights violation under 42 U.S.C. section 1981 for denial of equal contractual service and the basis of race. The trial takes 11 days. The prosecution plays the cabin video in full. Then they play it again. This time, freezing on each of the 3 arm grabs, on the slap, on the moment Harper touches her face and smiles. They play audio from the cockpit voice recorder, which, it turns out, picked up every word of Colleen's whispered threat about the uniform and handcuffs. They present Harper's medical photographs, the handprint, the bruises on her upper arm in the precise pattern of a small woman's grip, the laceration inside her cheek. Then they present the 19 prior complaints, one by one. Each complainant speaks, either in person or by video deposition. A retired schoolteacher from Houston, a pediatrician from Philadelphia, a Tuskegee University chaplain, a widow flying home from her husband's funeral, a Marine veteran, an Olympic sprinter, a pregnant engineer, a grandmother of 6. The jury listens for 2 full days. By the end, the courtroom is so still that the court reporter's keys sound like hammers. Defense argues that Colleen feared for her safety and acted within crew protocols. The lead prosecutor, a soft-spoken woman named Annalise Porter, takes exactly 4 minutes in closing. "Ladies and gentlemen, a 5'8" woman holding her dead father's 40-year-old leather headset did not endanger a trained flight attendant. The only threat on that aircraft was the one Ms. Whitfield carried on with her carry-on. She carried it on for 22 years. 19 other passengers tried to report it. Nobody listened. The reason you are here today is because on the 20th attempt, The passenger happened to own the airplane. That is a failure of the system as much as it is a crime by the defendant. Today, the system catches up. The jury deliberates for 4 hours. Guilty on all 3 counts. Sentencing comes 2 months later. The federal judge, an appointee who has presided over aviation cases for 15 years, gives Colleen the maximum allowed for a first-time violent offense in her category. 18 months in federal custody, 3 years supervised release, a $35,000 fine, and an order of permanent industry debarment that follows her across every airline, charter operator, and private aviation company regulated by the Federal Aviation Administration. Her flight attendant certificate is revoked and publicly flagged in the FAA database. Harper files a civil suit. She wins $4.2 million. Every dollar of that settlement, after legal fees, is placed into an endowment. Harper signs the founding documents herself on a Tuesday morning in her office, wearing jeans and her father's old hoodie, the way she signs everything important. The endowment is called the Julian Jennings Fund. Its sole purpose is to pay full tuition and flight hours for Black women pursuing commercial pilot licenses at accredited aviation academies across the United States. In its first year, the fund puts 14 students in the cockpit. In its 5th year, over 60. At the press conference announcing the fund, a reporter asks Harper how she feels about Colleen Whitfield's sentence. Harper considers the question. "I feel," she says, "that my father would have wanted me to build something. So I built something. That's all I have to say about Ms. Whitfield." She walks off the podium. The room applauds for a full minute. 2 years pass. Colleen Whitfield serves 14 months of her 18-month sentence and is released on supervised release to her sister's house in a small town in western Pennsylvania. She does not return to the aviation industry. She cannot. She takes a job at a hardware store register. A local reporter tries to interview her once. She closes her door and does not open it again. Her daughter finishes college on student loans her mother can no longer co-sign. That is the last anyone hears of Colleen Whitfield. Bryn Caldwell keeps her job. She finishes her Crestline contract, transfers into Meridian Skyline's training division, and spends 2 years writing a new curriculum from scratch. It is called the Cabin Dignity Protocol. Every flight attendant, every pilot, every gate agent, every ramp worker at Meridian Skyline now takes it as a condition of employment. Bryn teaches the first module herself, every single session. She opens with the same line every time. "My name is Bryn. 2 years ago, I watched a woman slap my boss in an aisle, and I did nothing. That is why I am standing in front of you today." Captain Owen Sullivan receives a promotion to chief pilot. At his retirement party 3 years later, Harper flies in from New Jersey to raise a glass. She hands him a framed photograph. Her father, in overalls, standing next to a single-engine Beechcraft Baron in a Georgia hangar in the summer of 1986. "Owen, you said 4 words. They were the right ones. Thank you." He tries to speak. Cannot. Hugs her instead. Preston Eastman keeps his job. He cleans the house. 9 Crestline supervisors are terminated in the internal audit that follows the trial. Training budgets triple. Complaint review processes are restructured so that passenger reports of discriminatory treatment can no longer be buried at a supervisor level. Other charter companies adopt the same reforms within the year. The industry, slowly, begins to change. Harper Jennings does not change. She still flies commercial when she visits her mother. She still wears her father's leather headset on every board flight. She still signs the founding documents of new endowments in the same jeans and hoodie her father wore in the photograph on Owen Sullivan's wall. She adds one thing, and only one thing, to her office: a framed copy of the jury's verdict, hung beside her father's old toolbox. The Julian Jennings Fund enters its 5th year, funding 61 Black women pilots, 61 sets of wings, 61 daughters who will not be told their type does not fly this class of aircraft, 61 cockpits that look just a little more like the country they serve. And somewhere, On a Tuesday afternoon, in a flight school hangar in Alabama, a 19-year-old named Asha signs a check against her tuition balance, a check drawn on the Julian Jennings Fund, and walks out to the flight line to start her solo cross-country. She is wearing a hoodie. She is carrying a canvas bag. In that bag is a leather headset her grandfather gave her before he passed. The instructor who watches her climb into the cockpit has no idea who she is. He assumes she is somebody's rideshare driver who got lost. 3 hours later, when she lands back at the field, having flown her solo cross-country by the numbers and by the book and by the grace of every woman who came before her, he will figure it out. If this story moved you, like, share, subscribe. Next week, a janitor nobody noticed for 11 years walks into a boardroom and learns he is the largest shareholder on the cap table. Fly safe out there, and whatever row you're sitting in, be the Captain Sullivan.
Colin got 18 months. Harvard took the $4.2 million every dollar and turned it into 61 Parler scholarships for black women. But here's what I keep sitting with. When they asked Harper how she felt about the verdict, she didn't talk about justice. She didn't talk about Colin. She said, "My father would have wanted me to build something, so I built something." And I think that's the deepest lesson in this whole story. Harper had every right to be angry, every right to burn it all down. But the anger is much. It lies fast and goes down. What her father taught her was something harder. Burn in a wound into a door. Not for yourself, for the people behind you who don't have a cabin willing to open the cockpit. 61 women are flying right now because Harper chose to build instead of burn. That's not forgiveness. That's legacy. The kind that outlives the pain that created it. So, let me ask you this. When life hits you, and it will, what are you going to build from it? Are you going to let it make you smaller, or are you going to turn it into a door someone else can walk through? Tell me in the comments. If this hit you, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell. We tell their story every week. Your pain is not the end of the story. It's the blueprint for someone else's beginning. Remember that.